right, hey there. Thanks so much for staying with us. Now, the Jamaica Just Transition Project was launched yesterday, November 27, during the ministry's St. Ann Regional Labour Talks Roadshow in Runaway Bay, with the theme Embedding Climate Justice in Regional Policy Frameworks. So here to tell us how this project is of great relevance to workers, employers and policymakers in Jamaica, our Minister of Labour and Social Security, Honourable Pearnel Jr., and Director of the International Labour Organization, ILO Caribbean Office, Dr. Joni Musabayana. Welcome, gents. How are you?
Greetings.
Good to have you. Let's talk a bit about, first of all, climate justice, Minister. I'm throwing this straight to you. Yes. What is this concept of climate justice? Break it down for us. So
it's about having equity in how we prepare our country, prepare our people. It's about advancing the dialogue to prepare for the uncertainties around climate change. And for many persons, it's a distant concept. Yeah. When you say climate justice, climate change, it's just buzzwords.
Right.
But it's those hurricanes, the floods, the droughts that affect tourism and agriculture and displace so many workers that we're speaking about. And you know, advancing climate justice or climate resilience is really about making sure that we are doing everything we can to put the country, to put our workers, to put our employers in the best position to be able to prepare, to withstand, and to respond to these kinds of events, which we know are coming. They're more frequent, they're more severe. We had a hurricane in June, never before. Right? So I know that many persons listening are saying, climate change, whatever. But just think about the last 4 years. We've had, there's one point when I was Minister of Agriculture, we had the drought period extended. We've had significant tropical storms. We've had Hurricane Beryl at a time when it was never, ever expected based on projections. So what it means is that we really have to start saying to the nitty-gritty. How do you put in place policies and protocols at the workplace? Here at CVM Sunrise, what are you doing? If a hurricane comes, what's the next step? How do you protect the cameraman? How do you protect yourself? Are you safe at work? Can you reach to work? All of these things are very simple in how they sound, but significant when you look on productivity of the country. Because if you can't go to work, it affects productivity.
Indeed. You know, and that's why, when I was reading about this concept, of climate justice and all of this, I began to ask myself, so this is something that, from a whole of government perspective, you can see it impacting several different people's ministries. And I thought to myself, so how it come to be Pearnel Jr.'s ministry, and how the ILO, how it falls in your lap and say you deal with it. So bring it home from that perspective, because it could have been a climate change discussion, it could have been a Ministry of Justice discussion, but it's but as an issue of labor and social security, bring that point home.
This is about people, and the ministry that has the mandate for dealing with the welfare of people is the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Minister. We could use numbers, we could use all kinds of jargon, but if we say it's about people and the well-being of people, and how they intersect between the impact of climate and the well-being of working people. And therefore it is about labor and how labor should be looked after as we move towards this green economy that we all talk about. What are the impacts? We don't want pockets of workers being left behind as we try to transition from the reality we have now to the desired point we want to be.
You mentioned the desired point that you want to be. The launch happened yesterday. Tell me specifically the objectives of the mission and the desired outcomes.
So firstly, we have to look deeply to identify the gaps. So the Just Transition Project is going to assist us with the collaboration with ILO and other stakeholders to see what is the state of affairs in terms of where we are, what do we need to fix. Then it will identify how to integrate the climate change issues with the labor and social security issues. And it will cause us to be able to put in place the allocation, identify the resources, know how to organize the structure of our workforce, to ensure that we are, again, in the best place, best position to address the issues that we know are going to come. The only certainty we have is that the future is uncertain.
On the back of that, may I just say, how do we really plan for this? Let's be real honest now, because here's the thing. We know the hurricanes come, but we can't ever truly predict the damage and the loss and the impact.
Excellent.
So what are we really doing other than brace?
Excellent question. I'm going to tell you this. So listen, just transition. The just in it is the fairness and the equity, meaning everybody should have a chance to be able to be prepared. The transition is moving from where you are to a better place. Give an example. Agriculture, for instance. Let's say you know that Jamaica is in the Caribbean, which is a climate-exposed region. We have increased risk to climate change. So what you would do is you'd make sure that the farmers, who their work environment is the farm, are given the tools and the knowledge and the power to know what steps need to be taken to prepare for that drought. Agriculture is already doing it. So we would go in, collaborate, and make sure that the drip irrigation and all these things, we don't have the responsibility of putting that in. That's a different ministry. But we have the responsibility of preparing the workforce, right? And ensuring that they know how that impacts the child that is in the home, the mother that is in the home, and everything else that is connected to it.
And if I may add that, we have done a modeling on green jobs assessment modeling for specifically for Jamaica up to 2037 to say if we are adjusting to the reality of climate change now, what kind of jobs are going to be impacted and what new job opportunities are going to be created. Now, more importantly, what kind of skills need to be developed so that the workforce is future ready, fit for purpose for the transition that we're talking about. That's one. The second is we are working on social protection. With the ministry, we have worked on the idea of an unemployment insurance scheme. We have to accept that when hurricanes hit, some people will lose their livelihoods, their jobs. And then what kind of social protection mechanism are we going to put in place so that in those transitional periods, their livelihoods can be sustained?
You've just answered the question I was about to ask, because it's important for our viewers to appreciate, well, we are small island developing states here in the Caribbean. There's no one-size-fits-all model, and so we want to know that the ILO isn't just importing a solution from somewhere else and trying to impose it then in the Jamaican reality. What I'm seeing is the ILO, through its Caribbean office, through the ministry, working to design solutions that are climate efficient for the Jamaican reality, and that is encouraging.
And this is a follow-on. This is a follow-on from the GJAM, which is the Green Jobs Assessment Model, which really looks on the economic, environmental overlap. And for the ultimate goal is how do we use all these collaborations, ensure that we have inclusive, sustainable growth. You cannot grow if you don't have a productive workforce. And that is ultimately where we're moving to. How do we make sure that every Jamaican, every employer, every worker is in the best place possible to be protected, to be safe in the environment, and to have opportunity to unlock their full potential.
What I like is that the conversation isn't just about the now. As you just mentioned, we're looking as far as 2037.
Important.
You were going to say something?
I just want to add on this issue. How do we ensure that it's not a one-size-fits-all? We're about dialogue. So we work with government, and in government work with ministry, but also the Minister of Energy and Environment. But we work with employers and we work with workers, organizations, so JCTU and JEF. So we are about dialogue, and we are bringing in academia, UWI, to bring the institutional expertise, the academic expertise. So we're not bringing technical experts from wherever else, but from here, and putting our heads together, saying how do we manage the reality that is in Jamaica, in the Caribbean region. We go out with the minister yesterday, we were in St. Anne's, and I think he's going back there, to go out into the communities and talk to real people and hear real realities that people live with. And from that, we then carve out solutions that are Jamaica specific, that are Caribbean specific.
Our job fair today, you know. Our job fair is today in St. Ann, Holiday Haven Resort. More than 34 employers. We expect about 300 job opportunities. We expect about 600 job seekers to be there. So this is a big week for us. And we started in Montego Bay in September. We are, in St. Ann yesterday and today. We'll be in Manchester in February. We are MLSS on the go.
I like it.
Dr. Joni, I have to ask you quickly, your favorite Jamaican dish?
You got me there.
I saw him yesterday.
I don't want to go to the dish. I'll go to the musician.
Tell me.
Bob Marley.
And
I'm from Zimbabwe.
Has to be.
And he started singing, I am a man liberate.
In Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
All right. Our guests have been the Honorable Pearnel Charles Jr., Minister of Labour and Social Security on the go, and Dr. Joni Musabayana, the Director of the International Labour Organization, the ILO Caribbean Office. Kids Unfiltered is up next. Stay with us.